diving deep caves for monster trevallies, shallow bays, deep pinnacles, or crazy hikes. With the forecast at hand, we know the next days are gonna be challenging. After a promising shore dive from the previous episode, we were now ready to get the boat in the water and go visit some of my favorite spots. Today the conditions are not the best, but luckily we're on the island, so we're gonna move to a sheltered place where there's some beautiful structure with big caves and some deep water pinnacles. In the Azores it's quite difficult to get something really big, and today the goal will be the hogfish. This is the most beautiful reef fish in the Azores, in my opinion, and it's a species that we target carefully. They can be quite sedentary fish, and once you find a good place for them, it's common to consistently find good-sized fish. But we're not going to shoot more than one. Usually this is how we manage these places, and then once we hit one area and we get one fish, then we don't touch them for a long time. These areas are also quite interesting because usually if you find hogfish, they are associated with a bunch of other species. A good area for this fish, you will also find groupers, lots of sea breams, just a lot of bottom fish, and that alone makes for some awesome footage. These dives are always very enjoyable, and if you can get a nice one at the end of the day, sweet. We opted for a deep area, so Fawaz chose to go with the scooter one last time during this trip. We would then commit to only spearfish without any assistance. After a few dives, looking around and not shooting any of the several bottom fish we saw, I finally spotted what we were looking for. A big-sized hogfish sneaking away through the big boulders. I called Fawaz with a typical grouper call, and he managed to close the gap just in time. Fish rocked up at depth is one of the most dangerous situations, in my opinion. With all the adrenaline, it's easy not to prepare the dive that well. Then using strength while having lines around you on the bottom. These are all things to have in mind when dealing with these situations. I think having a good diving buddy is a must in spearfishing, but especially in these situations is mandatory. If you're not feeling comfortable for any reason, don't force the issue. Luckily, Fawaz managed to do everything safely and landed this amazing fish. We were so stoked to land such a beautiful fish this early on the trip. The initial goal was achieved, and we would shift our focus to the shallows, on an area with beautiful caves that holds a variety of species. We found the big cousins of the little creatures we harvested on the mainland. The Azorean sleeper lobster. These guys grow huge, and they're quite common if you know where to look. Fawaz got quite excited and grabbed this massive one. However, it was full of eggs, and even if it wasn't, it was out of the season, so we are not allowed to take them. If you're traveling to the Azores, don't forget to check the seasons and protected species. This little spot was actually full of them, and it's quite rare to see them outside like this. So we did a few more shots and moved on to a different area where I was hopeful to find the iconic white trevally. A few years ago, you would find lots of white trevallies in pretty much every cave, but they're getting less and less. So even when you know exactly where to look, it can take time to find them. We switched it up with a spear gun and pole spear, bouncing from place to place. And eventually one of the spots held a lot of life outside the caves. So it should be just a matter of time until we found a big one. With yet another new species for Fawaz, we spent upcoming days diversifying techniques and species while diving the vast amount of different spots the islands have to offer. One of the highlights was a great eating size amberjack that came in hot after throwing a spoon. This is a technique I've had great results with, and I will get more into these kinds of techniques in future videos. So if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel to keep updated. I did get the spoon back, by the way. These might not be massive fish, but for the European reality, they are very good catches. Each place has their own challenges, and we cannot compare an amberjack here with the same species in Florida, for example. We appreciate its spot for what they bring, even if it means that sometimes you can get just enough for dinner. It was awesome to share all these places and different techniques, but the conditions deteriorated throughout this last day. So we decided to change it up and go explore what there is on land.
The plan hiking, and I don't know, I heard something bad. We should thinking about what?
So before hiking, we're gonna get our bait. And we get our bait where? We're gonna dig in cow poo. So we're gonna dig there. I'm very keen to see.
I will not do that.
Why? Are you not ready?
I'm not ready. He didn't bring any gloves, he didn't bring anything. How we do without the gloves?
Well, we do it the Portuguese way. Barefoot in the mud. That's where we find them. It didn't take long for us to get enough, and it was pretty cool to see this super chilled rat also digging in the same place. As you can see in the background, we're gonna hike through the jungle. There's no trail, there's nothing. We're gonna hike through, maybe around an hour, and then we're gonna get to a really nice waterfall. And then hopefully the worms will get us some nice rainbow trouts. Oh man, that's so cool. We didn't come here because of the fish. Usually they're quite small actually. But this has been one of my favorite things to do since I was a kid. For me, this always feels a little bit like a travel back in time. And it's awesome when everyone is stoked to enjoy each experience for what it is, even if that means jumping in freezing cold water in shorts. We didn't get anything big, but that wasn't even the goal. This was about sharing a place that means a lot to me, simply because it makes us feel like kids. We finally have a good weather window to go offshore. The last day of the trip would make us work hard and dive deep. An episode full of action with some sketchy situations, personal bests, and the fish of the trip.